What's going on, guys? This is GamerSwag358 here, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit of the NBA playoffs, particularly round one of the Western Conference, the San Antonio Spurs versus the Los Angeles Lakers, and the game just wrapped up, I don't know, maybe like 5-6 minutes ago, something like that. And to just start off this video, I think the Lakers basically didn't play good, but then again, they did. And I'm going to explain that throughout this video, but first thing I want to start off with is on the negative part. Personally, I think the Lakers took way too many shots. And by way too many shots, I'm talking Steve Nash. Now, granted, Steve Nash just got off a hip injury. He hasn't been here for a couple games. Now, I respect Steve Nash. You know, he's a great basketball player. He's done a lot for us this year. He's, you know, we all know what he could do. You know, we've seen his career numbers. We've seen his season numbers. We've seen the things that he's gone through this year. Injuries, you know, that sort of thing. But I think Steve Nash took way too many shots. Now, he did make clutch shots, but personally, I think he shot too many shots. Now, that's just my that's the biggest thing. And the other negative thing was that there were a lot of plays that should have been fouls on both teams. There should have been some on San Antonio, and there should have definitely been 5 or 6 that should have been called on Los Angeles. And there were a lot of them in in the first half, pretty much. And there was a foul that should have been called on Tim Duncan when he went to go argue it. But then again, the foul before that should have been called. So the referees kind of didn't really call it well, personally. Well, that's my opinion on it. But you know what? They've been doing this to, you know, really good teams. They've been doing this to the Lakers all year. They've been doing this to Miami. They've been doing this to everybody to keep everyone safe. And you know what? They do that because they favorite the other team because they're either really good or something, you know, like they'll say, oh yeah, you know, why you call, you know, then you get, you know, fights and all that, and the referees don't want to deal with that. They just want to do their jobs, referee the game, and then go home. They don't want to deal with you fighting and that sort of thing. So that's why there's a lot of technical fouls and fouls that aren't called on really good teams, because then they are, you know, then they're like, oh yeah, we got to break up a fight, you know, that sort of thing. But the Lakers game, personally, I thought it was, I shouldn't say atrocious, that would be the wrong word for it, but it definitely was not a good game. They lost 91-79, so San Antonio leads the series 1-0 over the Lakers. Now, this is, you know, this is something that I do want to bring up, just hypothetically, I guess. If San Antonio wins Game 2, and we go to LA down 2-0 over San Antonio, this is what I think. Personally, the Lakers need to win both games in Los Angeles. That's a big thing. And then once they get back to San Antonio, they have to play that game really good. Now, they have to play Game 2 good as well. But I think even if they lose Game 2, I think the 2 games in LA, I think they could easily, you know, get those, you know, I think those would be easy W's. You're at the Staples Center. Now, the biggest thing for the Los Angeles Lakers is to stay healthy. Now, we all know what's been going on recently. Kobe Bryant with the foot injury. We won't see him again until next year. Confirmed he has that foot injury. So we won't be seeing him for a while. But personally, Steve Nash is the one guy, I think, personally, that needs to stay healthy, and he needs to just be mentally focused. That and Dwight Howard. Now, Howard hasn't really suffered any injuries recently, knock on wood, but what I think, personally, is that if we all look at what the Lakers have done this year, and we look at the last game that they played versus Houston, I think that pretty much drained them out. I mean, they went to an overtime. You know, it was really kind of a crazy game there in Houston for the 7th seed. But you know what? You can't blame that on that. You can't even blame Steve Nash's injury. So I think personally in Game 2, they got to come out right now. They got to show what kind of dignity they have in this series, because in I mean, in today's game, they only led once in that whole entire game, and that was only by 2 points that San Antonio led for the rest of the game, which I think is just unbelievable if you really think about it. I mean, they were just outscored in all the quarters. Now, San Antonio in the first quarter led the Lakers 24 to 15, excuse me, just in the first quarter. Now that could have been a comeback right there. They could have had a nice big run right there, and you know, Steve Nash kind of had some, shouldn't say problems, but he shot 2 for 5 in the first quarter, playing 7 minutes, and he only scored 4 points. Now, looking at Pau Gasol, I think he played really well in that game. But like Kobe tweeted during the game, you got to post up Pau Gasol. And you know what? Kobe was saying that all game. And you know what? I think if they posted up Pau Gasol a little bit more, and they played Pau Gasol a little bit more, I think personally that they would have won that game. But he only had 6 points on 3 for 6 shooting. And Antoine Jamison went 1 for 1 and had 3 points. Now, Antoine, I don't think he played as hard as he should have. I think he should have been in the starting lineup, but that's me personally. Now, Matt Bonner had definitely a good game. I don't know if anybody watched the game, but he had that one left-hand layup, which was really nice, actually. You know, switching the hands. I think Matt Bonner is a really good basketball player. He's shooting a lot of threes, making good shots. I mean, there were a few that were kind of off target, but he did have a solid performance. You know, if you look at the whole game. But in the first quarter, he shot 1 for 1 and had 3 points. So it wasn't really big scoring in the first quarter. But San Antonio, that was, I think, their catalyst in the first quarter. But then in the second quarter, the Lakers are still trailing 45 to 37 going into halftime. And the numbers are just unbelievable. Pau Gasol shooting 3 for 9 with only 6 points. Steve Blake going 2 for 3 with 5. Metta World Peace with no points whatsoever at the half, which is just ridiculous. Meeks goes 1 for 4 with 2 points. And Morris goes 0 for 1 with no points. Now, let's look at what Tony Parker did. Tony Parker was 3 for 12, playing for 20 minutes. 3 for 12. I mean, that's just unbelievable. He had 1 rebound, 6 assists, no fouls, and only had 7 points, which is just unbelievable. Tim Duncan had a really good game. He went 6 for 9 and had 13. I can't complain about his performance. And Manu Ginobili definitely 3 for 6. Playing only 10 minutes and had 8 points. So San Antonio definitely knew what they had to do in that game. Now, at the end of the third quarter, San Antonio is up 70 to 57. I mean, that's just unbelievable right there. I mean, you know, personally, it's just ridiculous what San Antonio did. They were up 24 to 15. Then they scored 21 in the second quarter going into halftime. And then in the third quarter they scored 25. So averagely they were scoring about 20 points a quarter, which, I mean, that's just ridiculous if you really think about it. So at the end of the third there, Steve Blake played for 32 minutes, went 4 for 10 and had 9 points. Pau Gasol went 4 for 11 and had 9 points. Jody Meeks went 1 for 4 and had 4 points. And finally, Antoine Jamison, which I think he should have played more personally, but he went 1 for 2 and had 6 points. So, and also Matt Bonner goes 2 for 3 and has 7 points. Manu Ginobili going 6 for 12 and having 18 points. Neo going 2 for 5 and having 4 points. And yeah, so I mean, they did really good. I'm just not saying everybody because there were some guys who didn't really do too much, so I'm not really going to mention them too much. And then finally, the fourth quarter. Now, this is a big thing that I had the problem in the fourth quarter. Pau Gasol throws up a foul with about 30 some odd seconds, 34, 35 seconds. What is the point of that when you're, when you're down by, you know, I mean, the final was 91-79. What is the point of fouling San Antonio? I mean, what? You just want the lead to be bigger? No, you don't foul them. Let them go up the court, just blow off time and take the loss. I don't know why Pau Gasol was fouling. I don't know if that was D'Antoni's, I don't know, his thoughts or whatever, but I really didn't agree with that. And another thing I didn't agree with is San Antonio fouled Dwight Howard for no reason. I think it was in the second quarter or the first quarter. It was one of those quarters. I don't remember exactly. But they fouled him for absolutely no reason. I think it was towards the end of the quarter. And I was like, why? Why put Dwight Howard? I mean, I know he sucks at free throws. But what's the point of putting him up at the free throw line? I mean, you're up big. What's the point of really throwing him on the free throw line? And he ended up making the 2 free throws. So, you know, I just thought that was kind of silly that they did that. And they should ban that, as the announcers were saying. They should ban off-ball fouls. Because, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Or intentional fouls, I should say. Not all off-ball fouls. But, you know, the off-ball intentional foul. I don't think that should be in the NBA. You should just foul the guy with the ball. Because then somebody could say, oh, yeah, who's the worst free throw shooter in the court? And then they could just intentionally foul him. So I think that they should get rid of that next year. That's just my personal opinion on it. But, again, I think the Lakers did play okay. But the good thing that could be taken out of that whole loss is that really, I shouldn't say that they didn't give up, because I think they did give up. Starting into the fourth quarter, I think they kind of just, you know, cruised back and let San Antonio just floor it pretty much and just beat the crap out of them personally. But I mean, you know, I mean, it's just a thing where the Lakers have got to learn to win. And like I said, even if you don't win this one, you're down 2-0 over San Antonio's up on you, and you just got to execute when you're at home. If they don't win those 2 home games, series over. They're wiped in 4 games. Now, you know what? That could happen, because you know what? I personally don't think the Lakers could win that series. I'm not expecting them to win that series, but I'm expecting them to put up a fight. So hopefully we'll see what happens in that. But again, I just really have no confidence in the Lakers right now. But to end the game, Pau Gasol shot 7 for 16 and scored 16 points. Dwight Howard went 8 for 12 and scored 20. Steve Blake went 5 for 13 and scored 12. Meta World Peace went 2 for 9 and scored 5. And then Steve Nash went 6 for 15 and had 16 points. Now, this is the first time ever, I think, that Steve Blake and Steve Nash played together. Not in the game, but I mean in like the starting lineup. So I thought that was kind of interesting that D'Antoni actually did that. I don't know what his thoughts were on that, but then for San Antonio, Tony Parker went 8 for 21 and had 18 points. Kawhi Leonard, which I think he personally had a really great game, even though he shot 3 for 18 and only had 8 points. I think he had a really good game. Tim Duncan going 6 for 15 and having 17 points. And Splitter going 0 for 4 and only having 2 points, which those 2 points I believe were on the free throw line. And then Green went 2 for 6 and had 6 points. So again, I thought it was a good game, but then again, the Lakers have just got to step it up. But the key things I think for game 2 is Lakers have got to play way better defense, and they got to find what's going on offense. They really need to execute more on offense, because definitely the offense just went south in that game. But for San Antonio, they pretty much have to play the way that they did versus LA, run the court, play hard defense, try and foul Dwight Howard as much as, well, not foul him, but make him get fouls, put him up at the free throw line, and San Antonio will easily probably win this series, personally for me. But, you know, the Lakers have just got to play a little bit harder. So, after Game 2, which I believe is on Thursday, I think, or Wednesday or Thursday, something like that, I will be reviewing Game 2. So I'll be reviewing all the games for the Lakers, and if the Lakers do get eliminated, I'm just going to do the Knicks, and I'll just start analyzing them. So, this is GamerSwag358. Comment down below who you think is going to win this series and why, and in how many games. So this is GamerSwag358, and we'll see you guys next time. and also comment, rate, and subscribe.